Hello brew tubers. Believe it or not, this is the third attempt at making this bloody video. I wanted to tell you about a beer that I've brewed. This beer here, it's the Cheeseburger Cavalry, and it's come from this book here, which I'll tell you about in a second. Third attempt because I keep on waffling, I keep on going on and on about crap. First attempt was the brew video. Absolutely rubbish, went on and on. It would have been about a 3-hour bloody video, no one wants to watch that. Excuse me. The second attempt was this, but then when I watched it back, I was like, what the hell? It's going on for like 20 minutes again. So this is my third attempt, and I hope to keep it certainly under 10 minutes, maybe less than that. So I was on holiday. I was getting back on a Thursday and I had the rest of the week off, so I said to the wife, do you mind if I brew when we get back? She was like, yeah, sure. Normally in the past, I've used a spreadsheet to put all my recipes in, and I didn't have access to that spreadsheet. So I thought, well, what can I do? I wanted to get something together. I wanted to order the hops, order the ingredients while I was away. What do I do? So what I did was, thanks to Rusty Homebrew, his advice, I went on to this. I don't know if you can see, that's probably a bit too bright. There we go. That is an app called Brewfather. It's a web application. If you go onto it, it's absolutely free for whatever you want for the first, I think it's month. Then you have to make a subscription to it. You don't have to make that subscription. You can carry on using the free version, but the free version is then limited to something like 10 batches and 10 recipes or something like that. Anyway, if you pay for it, it's $19 a year. So it's not a lot of money anyway. So I've paid for it, got it for a year, and this is what I'm going to be using going forward for all of my brews and recipes. It's a great app, really, really simple to use, does everything in it that you want. Recipes you put in there, you then brew it as a batch, you can then re-brew them, those recipes, you can change them, you can keep inventories in there. It's got everything, water chemistry. Even if you've got a tilt, which I have now, get that away from my face, even ties up with a tilt and shows you how the fermentation's going. Great app. I might do a separate video on that. I don't know really, I'll see about it, but great app. You know, if you're looking out there for something to use, or even if you are a Beersmith user, I can highly recommend this app here to use. Anyway, while I was away, I was obviously, well, what do I brew? I haven't really got any idea. So I had this book with me on holiday. It's the Camera Home Essential Home Brewing. Don't let that bit put you off. Fantastic book. Really good tips and tricks and things like that in here. If you're even starting to look into brewing, obviously the #1 book I would say to everyone is get the Greg Hughes, is it, his Bible. Get that. That's the first book I had. It's what really taught me how to brew. Started off using that, and I'd advise anyone to get that. Great recipes in there. This comes a very close second for me. It's done by Andy Parker, who owns Elusive Brewing in Berkshire, not far from here. So, as I say, some really good tricks and tips and things at the start, basic stuff, slightly some more advanced stuff. But the bit that really got me was these ingredients and recipes, rather at the back. It's set into sections like most of them are, pale ales, stouts, etc, etc. This is in the pale ale and IPA department, as you can probably tell, and it is, show you, where are we? Here we go, this one. Left-handed giant Cheeseburger Cavalry. So it goes on this side, tells you a little bit about the beer, but about the brewery and everything, and this section here tells you about the ingredients to put in there, and the recipe. So great book. I forget, it says $11.99 on the back here. I think I got mine for about £8, so you know, bargain. Really, really good. If it's a good book, £8, worth it, worth every penny. Put this recipe into Brewfather. It's gone now, but anyway, Brewfather, and it when I plugged in my equipment profile, which again you can put in here, put your own equipment profile in, as you do with all good brewing apps. I sort of like to change the recipe, always do. I have to usually up the grain a bit to get to a certain level, etc, etc. So did that, put it in there. I'll tell you the recipe in a minute. In fact, no, let me tell you the recipe now. I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you this recipe rather than my one. So we've got 3.7 kilos of Maris Otter, 1.9 kilos of Maris Otter extra pale, 200 grams of Carapils, and 125 grams of torrefied oats. It says torrefied oats. I used flaked oats. I didn't know what torrefied oats was, so flaked oats was for me. Then the hop schedule was at 60 minutes, 15 grams of Warrior. At 10 minutes, 30 grams of Citra. At 5 minutes, 40 grams of Citra. Then a whirlpool where we had ATC do 60 grams of Citra and 45 grams of Mosaic. I'll put this down the bottom. You're probably not listening or whatever, but anyway, I'll put the recipe down the bottom as well. 60 grams Citra, 44 grams of Mosaic, whirlpool. Doesn't say how long here to whirlpool for. I usually did 20 to 25 minutes. This one, to keep the bitterness down a bit, I did it at, I think I did it for 15 minutes, I think. Then you've got a dry hop, Citra, 65 grams of Citra, 65 grams of Mosaic for 7 days, and a second dry hop, 65 grams of Citra, 65 grams of Mosaic for 3 days. What I did as well was the first dry hop, I just dry hopped it with 7 days to go. So I fermented it for 2 weeks, left it for a week, did the first dry hop after the first week, which was 65 grams Citra, 65 grams Mosaic, left that in there for 4 days. But during that 4 days, I actually reduced the temperature in the firm fridge to go down to about 14 degrees, I think it was, and then did the second dry hop. The reason I did that, again, I've told that reduces the bitterness level that's given to you by the dry hop. So hopefully that would help. You can't plug that into the recipe. So if it's giving you any bitterness units coming out of the dry hop, it might be slightly less than that, I don't know, but anyway. Yeast was USO5. Now this came out at, it should come out 6.9% with an original gravity of 1060. I had an original gravity, I think it was 1059, so close enough, 1060. And I pitched in 2 packets of USO5, but I don't think it fermented out properly. The reason I think for that was when I rehydrated the packet of yeast, 2 packets of yeast, I used the same amount of water I would with 1 packet. So when I pitched it in, it was a bit clumpy and hadn't properly sort of, absorbed into the water. So I think in future, if I'm going to do that, I'll put more water in, put 2 packets in. It just didn't really work, I don't think, anyway. So it didn't ferment down as much. I think it's at a 6.9, I think mine's 5.9%. I can't remember, I think it went down to 10, 14, something like that. Anyway, to be honest, I'll have it in here somewhere, so I could look at it, but I'm not going to. So anyway, that's what went wrong with there, in my opinion. Yeah, so how did it turn out? I've done 9.3 minutes when it down. So here we go, this is how it turned out, very nice. Sorry, let me start with the way we should do. Look, very good. Let me get that side light on there, there's a bit more light back here. Oops, right. A little bit more light. You might be able to see that there. It's a lovely sort of orange looking colour. It's completely cloudy, you cannot see past it at all. Let me just show you quickly with this. Switch that on. But you can't see through that at all, really. It's completely and utterly cloudy. That's not done on purpose, just happened to be that way. So it's kind of come out sort of Napier styly, really, which is fine by me. That's great. I actually love the look of that. Aroma, beautiful, absolutely bang on, spot on aroma. Absolutely love it. Couldn't fault that aroma. It's just fruit juice in a glass. Beautiful. You can see the head kind of hangs around nicely. It's not as big as it was. It was up to the top of that glass first of all, but it's not really completely disappearing. So it's kind of hanging around, ticking the boxes so far. Good. Taste. It tastes nice, but it's too bitter. For me, anyway. So the IBUs of this, per the recipe, should be about, I think it's about 50, let me find it. Where are we? Sorry, I've got to go. Cheeseburger Cavalry, so it should have been 53. 53 IBUs it should be. I don't know, IBUs, I'm useless at them. But for me, this sort of style, this sort of Napier, fruity kind of drink, should really have really low IBUs. And the bitterness should be, you know, much lower. This is just, it could be more than 50 IBUs in this one. I just don't know really. You know, I did the hop schedule exactly the same way as that. My recipe told me that it should be about 50 IBUs, in the low 50s anyway. But to me, this has come out a bit too bitter. I just want to taste the flavour of that fruitiness so much. So what gives it to you with the aroma, I want to taste that in the beer, and it just, for me, it just doesn't quite do that. So it's still nice and it's still drinkable, and I am going to send some out to people. And I've had some really good feedback from others that have drunk this. But it just, as I say, I think I need, next time doing it, I'm going to reduce the bitter. Now, what I've got in the shed at the moment in the fermenter, it's another pale ale, Galaxy and Amarillo, completely different hops. But for the first time, I've never used any 60-minute bittering. I've gone straight into the late bittering and the dry hop. Late bittering, whirlpool and dry hop. And I'm going to play around with that a bit to see if I can get where I want to get to. In the one in the shed, my pale ale that I'm trying to do, I'm really trying to lower the amount of hops. So, you know, the hops that I've used in that is slightly less than 200 grams in total. And I want to see how it comes out. Does it? I want to give something that is more of a bit of a crowd pleaser, that might not be so much so hoppy, so massive like explosion in your face sort of thing of hops, which I think would be slightly more pleasing to some than a you know, something like this, which is, you know, really hoppy. Anyway, I'm going to get some of these out to some people. I've got a few others that I know I owe beers to people, so I'll be getting them out. Don't worry. It is good. It is good, but it's just not as good as I think it could be. So anyway, thank you very much to everyone for watching. I'm going to be getting a bit more footage on the channel. So got this. I've got the next one up. I'm going to talk about as well another one of these type of things. I didn't actually get any footage of a porter that I've brewed recently, a smoked porter, which has come out really well. I'll talk about that in the same way I've done this, but tell you about the recipe of that. And the pale ale as well, which I'll talk about, and I will show you some brew footage for that one. Back soon, 14 minutes, something. Right, I'm trying to get us under 15 minutes then. Bye.
You put the beer in the coconut and drink it all up. You put the beer in the coconut and throw the can away.